Assalamualaikum and very good evening to Doctor and fellow friends. Today we from Group 1 would like to present our thesis, which is Impact of Poverty on Health of Malaysia Economics. Our group have 5 members, which is Fatin Huaina, Muhammad Najhan, Nur Azian Roslin, Muhammad Nur Iman, and Muhammad Izzat. 1.0 Introduction. Poverty is classified into two types, which is absolute and relative poverty. Absolute poverty is defined as an individual or family inability to meet their basic needs in order to maintain a minimum level of poverty line income. Absolute poverty is determined by comparing the income of group of household to a standard known as PGK, which is poverty line income. This PGK is determined by the living condition of the people in this country. The most common form of poverty in Malaysia, according to poverty theory, is absolute poverty. A household is considered poor if a monthly income is less than the PGK. In Malaysia, the incidence of poverty is defined as the proportion to impoverished household in relation to the number of households. 5 basic necessities are food, clothing, shelter, education, and medical care. Poverty and income inequality are still major issue in Malaysia, and any increase in poverty and income inequality has a direct impact on our economic growth.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Azian binti Roslin and my matric number is 279994. Next, I will present our research question, which is what is the factor that contribute to poverty in Malaysia and how does poverty in Malaysia give an impact on the health economy. Our objective of this research is to identify the factor that contribute to the poverty in Malaysia and to study how poverty give an impact on the health economy in Malaysia. The importance of the study is to find out whether the poverty that occurs in a country can change or affect the economic health of a country. So, using this research, we will be able to determine how poverty impacts the economy and what factors lead to the prevalence of poverty. Furthermore, we also can identify steps that government should do to address the problem. Even though the government has enacted different initiatives to eliminate poverty in the country, it still exists at low or high level. If poverty can be eradicated, the income disparity in society can be narrowed. The negative consequences of poverty can be avoided and the economy of the country will be unaffected.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Imam Azizah. Number is 2806009. Now we proceed to the factors that impact poverty health of Malaysia's economy. My point is low employment rate. Malaysia has had unemployment crisis for quite some time. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, Malaysia's workforce is 68.3%. Even though Malaysia has a large workforce, the unemployment rate in the third quarter 2021 was still 4.7. Even working people complain about being underpaid. This also occurs when small and medium-sized businesses are not provided adequate funding to expand and create more work opportunities for society. Besides, the low interest rates available to small enterprises have caused many of them to stagnate, which has been exacerbated by the pandemic. The government's economic policy encouraged citizens to take out personal loans, which often result in financial difficulties due to low pay. The government should work to increase job opportunities in society so that more individuals may earn money, which will assist the state economic flow. This is likewise true of teaching men to fish rather than providing him with fish. Okay, in the slide, you can see the unemployment rate for the past decade.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Izzat bin Ahmad Alias Bukhari. My matric number is 281376 and I would like to continue our group presentation, which is the second factor of poverty in Malaysia. My point is low income rate. As you can see from the graph, which I have gotten from the website of Malaysia income, the mean and median for monthly wage from 2010 to 2012. Um, you can see that the mean wage in 2010 was 1,936, which increased slightly to 1,959 in 2011. There was a slight increase in wages, which is 93 ringgit in 2012 compared to 2011 at 2,052. As for the median wage, the chart show that the median stay constant from 2010 to 2011 at 1,500. This value, however, increased in 2012 at 1,566. Next, we could see the graph for minimum wage in Malaysia from 2013 to 2021. The minimum wages start from 2013 to 2015 is 900 ringgit. This amount has increased to 1,000 in 2016 to 2018. The amount have increased again in 2019 at 1,100, and in 2020 and 2021 the minimum wages is 1,200. Uh, Even though the minimum wages is 1,200, the cost of living in Malaysia usually um, started from 1,000 above. So a lot of people who doesn't have any side income would struggle to increase to build their own wealth, such as buy real estate, buy houses or cars, because of this low income. However, in 2022, the income has increased to the minimum wage has increased from 1,200 to 1,500. However, the cost of goods also increase, such as chicken or vegetables or any food sources have increased that have affected other supply. Gas price also um, has increased. Uh, it has the 1,500 ringgit of minimum wages cannot support the living costs. This also have make people a lot of people cannot find a job because company have to pay more now because of the new policy of 1,500 minimum wage. So there are people who have low income rate and also people who have no income at all. Because of this, there are a lot of poverty increasing because the cost of living has surpassed the the wage, the income in Malaysia. That is all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Alright, global poverty is a severe problem that the globe faces today, and every country's government is working to address it. In this thesis, we will discuss more about our country, Malaysia. The Malaysian government must also address the issue of absolute poverty in the country. Our country's absolute poverty rate has decreased from 7.6% in 2016 to 5.6% in 2019, according to the report by the Department of Statistics Malaysia. This demonstrates that our government has implemented an effective approach to address the issue of absolute poverty. Because when the absolute poverty rate is too high, it will have a significant effect on the country's economic growth. Okay, when a country's absolute poverty rate is higher, its national development will be slower. This is because of poor households, frequently low income or jobless families. The citizen will then be unable to pay their income tax, resulting in a drop uh, in government revenue. According to figure from the Malaysian Inland Revenue Board, the government has already collected 145.11 billion in direct tax in 2019. To conclude, the effect of higher level of poverty seriously impede national economic growth. So the government needs to reduce our country's absolute poverty. The development of the state will be delayed by the increase in poverty. As the government pays more attention to solving the poverty problem and spend more on recurring expenses, on the other hand, if the country's absolute poverty rate is high, all of this show that the problem of the absolute poverty is very serious and urgent. We hope that the government will pay attention to it in order to improve our economic growth.
Next is the effect on education. Unemployment and poor income contribute to society poverty, which has a detrimental influence. One of them is that children do not receive a complete education since they are unable to attend school owing to financial difficulties. Even though they are partially supported by the government, the substantial payment expense they must bear make them feel overwhelmed. Because of the high charge, several people have been compelled to abandon their education. Education costs are borne not only by the government, but also by parents and guardians, either directly or indirectly via tax. For example, they must pay for school fees, uniform, books, and more. Some students got benefits from educational assistance programs such as subsidies, scholarship, textbook loan, and so on. However, a few of them need to drop out because they cannot afford to send their children to school. So, lacking knowledge, they will be pushed to become unemployed, contributing to the drop in employment. Poverty also impacts on society, which is through the national crime rate. The majority of the increase in Malaysia's crime rate is due to the severe poverty, which encourages crime. For example, if a child is born into a poor home, they are more likely to become involved in crime since they do not get what they want. When they observe people who live in luxury, who are wealthy, who drive costly automobiles, and so on, they will learn that their parents cannot afford and provide them with everything they desire. And they will begin to hunt for quick cash. Hence, they begin to engage in criminal activity. Therefore, this problem of poverty can affect society and contribute to the reduction in skilled workers and occurrence of crime in society.
Poverty in Malaysia is a controversial economic and political issue. The definition of poverty and the poverty line in Malaysia has been disputed for years and caused much political uproar, including political protests and debates. Malaysia has grown rapidly in economic development, with 65.6% of the population aged 15 years and above employed and working in 2014. With that many people working, each household is expected to make a sufficient income. It has been recorded that there was a 55.3% reduction in the percentage of the population below the poverty line in Malaysia, meaning that the country's poverty is a large focus for the government and the community, and they are working together to solve the problem. A survey conducted in 2014 by the Department of Statistics Malaysia on a sample size of 81,634 households shares the preliminary data that only 1% of these households were living below the poverty line index. Educate children. Education is the right of every child and is an important part of nation building. A good education is the foundation for a child's success later in life and a common factor in ending cycles of poverty. In a UNICEF Commission report at 2017, it was found that a head of household with an education was more likely to see a higher household income. If a child was able to complete at least secondary schooling, their income more prospects were much better. We know education is a game changer, but are all children able to success education? Despite efforts by the government and society, there are still children who are unable to go to school or fully benefit from our education system. Education is the best way out of poverty, in part because it is strongly linked to economic growth. A 2021 study co-published by Stanford University shows us that between 1960 and 2000, 75% of the growth in gross domestic product around the world was linked to increased math and science skills. The relationship between aggregate cognitive skills, called the knowledge capital of a nation, and the long-run growth rate is extraordinarily strong. The study authors conclude by that this is just one of the most recent studies linking education and economics growth that have been published since 1990. Strengthen social safety nets and provide government fund empowerment. An estimated 36% of the very poor escape extreme poverty because of social safety nets, providing clear evidence that social safety net programs, which include cash, in-kind transfers, social pensions, public works, and school feeding programs targeted to poor and vulnerable households, are making a substantial impact in the global fight against poverty. Data also shows that this program lower inequality and reduce the poverty gap by about 45%. These positive effects of safety net transfer hold true for low and middle income countries alike. Evidence now shows how safety net cash transfers not only help nations invest in human capital, but also serve as a source of income for the poor, improving their standard of living. Today, some 2.5 billion people are covered by safety net programs and 56% of the poorest quota. Yet in low-income countries, around 1 in 5 of the world's poor still lack safety net coverage. Create policies that promote economic development. Economic development implies an improvement in economic welfare through higher real GDP, but also through an improvement in other economic indicators such as improved literacy, better infrastructure, reduced poverty, and improved healthcare standards. Policies for economic development could involve improved macroeconomic conditions such as creating a stable economic climate of low inflation and positive economic growth, free market supply side policies, privatization, deregulation, lower tax and less regulation to stimulate private sector investment. Government intervened supply side policies by increased spending on public goods such as education, public transports, and healthcare. An example that can be given is macroeconomic stability. Investors make decisions based on the rate of return they expect to receive and the richness of the investment project. The higher the risk, the higher the required rate of return.
Conclusion. In conclusion, global poverty is a serious issue that the world is dealing with today, and every country government is working to address it. The NEP, which is the new economics policy, which ran from 61 until 90s, was formed with the goal of eradicating poverty through social reform, social betterment, and reducing economic disparities between races through providing work possibilities for all people regarding the race. This will help reduce the impact of poverty in Malaysia. Subsidy and incentive from the government are also included in this operating cost. Poverty can affect our education because some Malaysians can afford to pay their education. Poverty also can increase our nation crime because people will do anything for money. Poverty is also a major problem to our country, so together we have to be bond together to prevent poverty for our beloved country. That's all from me. Thank you.